Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome once again to CrossChop. Today I'm bringing you yet another collecting video that spans 7 different systems and a little over 20 games. Now, although most of these games came from some different retro game shops that I visited through about 4 different states while driving, the remainder of it came from Craigslist, an estate sale, Target even, the good old internet of course, and one of the items is even from Central America. Now that everything's all cleaned up and ready for us to look at, it's high time we kick back, slipped into our gossamer petticoats, and take a moment to admire some plastic that was designed and manufactured mostly for children. Let's go! Since I didn't grab too many disc-based games this time around, figured we'd start with those. So up first we've got, on PS1, Cool Borders 3, Motocross Mania, and Street Fighter Alpha 3, a game I've been looking for a long time, always wanted as a kid, and simply never got around to getting. And then on GameCube, a copy of Geist, a game I'd heard pretty good things about, but had never tried. Got that for extremely cheap. And one other really neat kind of last-minute find here was at an estate sale. I got this Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation guide and a Sega Dreamcast copy of that game. So that'll be pretty cool to try out. Somehow I found myself falling victim to the hype train going around Instagram for a while there with the World of Nintendo toys, so I wound up getting a few of those from Target, and I got a Diddy Kong. I didn't get the full set of any of these, by the way. Waluigi, Fire Mario, and I was fortunate enough to get the one everyone was talking about as being the hardest to find, Link, and I actually found him on my first visit, so he's the Skyward Sword Link, and thought that was kind of cool too. My girlfriend took a trip to Nicaragua recently and got this really cool Club Nintendo magazine that's all in Spanish. It's pretty neat. It contains reviews and everything else a normal Club Nintendo would, but it's pretty neat to have a Spanish edition, and it also came with this really neat Mario Kart 8 poster that I'll probably put up on a wall somewhere. As far as some other literature goes, I suppose, I got this really cool Super Game Boy guide. I forget what year is on that thing, but 1994 it looks like, according to the inner flap there. And then the last thing was this 100th issue of Nintendo Power, which is also really neat. I've enjoyed looking through that. It's got previews of like Zelda 64 before it was actually called Ocarina of Time, somewhere in here, I think kind of close to the front, as well as yeah, Conquer, I think. There's actually, I think that's Quest 64 there, but Conquer, before it was officially known as Conquer's Bad Fur Day, I think is previewed in here. So pretty neat to add those to the aesthetics of the place. Taking a quick but affectionate look at a couple of old games and then some very new ones, I also collected Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. I think my girlfriend actually bought that one at a old thrift store, an antique store of sorts. And I got Star Voyager, both of which are on the NES. That's one of the most common games. That one's a little bit less common, but not extremely rare. I also got her, as a kind of little surprise gift, a copy of Paper Mario Sticker Star. GameStop had a good sale on that for about $10 for a brand new copy, so that was pretty cool. And I've really been enjoying playing Pokemon Y on the 3DS quite a bit. Good ways into that. I think I have about 2 badges left, so I've been making some good headway. And then last, this was a kind of a very recent Craigslist pickup, a very new sealed copy of The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. Never played it and cannot wait. I'm a huge Zelda fan. Back in early August, I had a really nice Nintendo 64 haul. Found some complete boxed stuff that was in just too good of condition to pass up, and they were at prices I just couldn't beat. So I got, first of all, this complete boxed yellow N64 controller that is in really great shape. The center stick is a little bit wobbly, but that will be easy to replace, and otherwise it's in great shape, no cosmetic flaws or anything like that. So very cool, always happy to add a controller that I never had earlier to the collection. Also added a boxed memory card, and I got all of this next set of stuff, basically this and the next item, at kind of a vendor mall of sorts in Indiana. And the last one from that same set was this Rumble pack, also complete. Nice little diagram of some N64 controllers there. And this was, I think, the only cosmetic flaw on really any of those boxes, so I will take it. Not too big of a complaint there. For about $20 online from someone I'd never met, I was able to land complete box copies of The World Is Not Enough on N64. An okay game, definitely not as good as its sibling and predecessor, however, GoldenEye. Just about everybody's favorite first-person shooter from the N64 era. I'm sure there may be some other ones that you guys can name off that you might like a little bit better, but feel free to let me know in the comments below if you dispute that claim. And lastly, from Craigslist, this was actually part of a Craigslist haul that I covered from last video involving Super Smash Brothers. I think it was Mario Party 2 and Super Mario 64. I neglected to include this game because I was too busy playing it, and that was Conker's Bad Fur Day, another favorite from a lot of people from the N64 era that I never got around to playing when the N64 was still being sold. So I've really been enjoying playing that one. I'm several hours in and really like it. Thus far in this video, I've neglected one of my favorite retro consoles and the games I picked up for it so far, and the haul that I got was absolutely probably the best thing I've done so far. I'm so excited to finally have some of these games and to be able to play them. So I'm going to split it into 3 sections, and we'll start off with what are kind of more the common ones, I would say, I guess, although the last one of this first part isn't quite as much. So just to dive right in, we've got Super Star Wars on Super Nintendo. Very hard game, quality questionable. Its sequel, Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. F-Zero, pretty fun Captain Falcon racing game from the Super Nintendo 16-bit era. And then a really nice, well put together box copy of a game called Bob, or B-O-B. Pretty fun, kind of reminds me of Metroid in a way. Obviously more cartoony, but very thrilled to have that. This was an extremely well kept piece, and not a bad game so far. I haven't played a whole lot, but definitely a fun little pastime. Once again, my girlfriend absolutely outdid herself with this killer find for the Super Nintendo. She'd actually had this since childhood and recently discovered this in her parents' basement from about 13 years ago. It had stayed down there unbeknownst to really anyone else in her family, and upon a return home visit recently she found this. So it's a complete set, and absolutely thrilled to have this in the collection again. I've compiled here my 4 remaining Super Nintendo titles that I wanted to show you guys that I got, and these were a little bit less common or more heavily sought after than the others. And the first one is Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which has been pretty fun. Haven't played a whole lot of it, but really liked it. I know that's a favorite from a lot of Super Nintendo fans. Another one, absolute classic game, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which I've played many, many times. Originally tried it out on the Super Nintendo before I even had one, and then had it on the Game Boy Advance, and still play it on that platform pretty often, but was thrilled to finally get a copy of this on its original intended platform and start up my proper file on the original cartridge. Another recent addition here, another favorite that I've played previously on emulation and a little bit on the cartridge, although again not on my own Super Nintendo, is Super Metroid. Wonderful game. I know another favorite of a lot of people. Not only a favorite Metroid game, but one of the favorites on the Super Nintendo. So that one was really, really happy to join my collection here. And then last, but far, far, far from least, a game that I've wanted to properly sit down and play for years. I got Earthbound, and I know this is a game that no one really cares about and not many people talk about these days, but for what it's worth, I've really been enjoying playing what I have so far of it, and the condition of the cartridge itself is terrific. It's hardly got any blemishes on the label or anything like that, and I just beat Frank. I think Ness is at level 9 or so, I'm moving right along and really, really loving it, especially the soundtrack. You just can't go wrong with that music. So really, really pleased with the Super Nintendo pickups for this season. Well guys, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks so much for watching my video. Admittedly, I've been kind of curious though. What kind of games are you after, or what have you maybe picked up recently? I'd love to know in the comments below, so please feel free to let me know, and see you next time.